Hello ladies and gentlemen, MarauderEX here with a video explaining the super secret special side project that I've kind of talked about in a couple of videos. I mentioned a little bit, and I didn't want to do anything until I was 100% concrete with it. And it's done, the project is finished, I've got some of the tools still laying around. So now that it's done, I'm going to talk about it. I don't have a very in-depth look at it, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it's just I did this project, and I'm showing off the project because I had a lot of help with this project, and I'm crazy. So what it is the Sega Saturn PC that I've built. I got the inspiration off of looking at a video that was sent to me. I first saw it on Reddit that was linked to YouTube. A gentleman named Wes M. He did an NES PC build and a SNES PC build that are phenomenal. They are just fantastic PC builds. He put a lot of work into it, and I saw that and thought that that was something I could do myself. And since I am a game collector, first and foremost, having access to these games is something that I would love to do. And seeing as how I've been spending a lot of time and money and resources in building and working on the house, my budget for game collecting has not really been as extensive as I'd like it to be. And now that game collecting has become such a mainstream hobby, it's become ridiculously more expensive. When I first started getting into collecting seriously, I could have gotten an NES and several games for a very reasonable price, but now thanks to a lot of internet popularity of things getting spread around, like the stadium events auction that sold for a ridiculous amount of money, people have started jacking up prices, and you get a lot of forced scarcity, forced inflation, and it's becoming kind of a pain to stay collecting. And as you can see, I have a huge collection behind me of things that I love and have played and want to play. And I don't collect games that I have no attachment to. So I'm very particular about the games that I've collected, and I figured this was a good way to supplement that, especially as a Let's Player, because there are a lot of games that I would like to Let's Play that I just don't have. And now I have access to them, and I'm planning on Let's Playing them. So there's going to be a lot that you're going to be able to see from that. As I've said, there's a lot of information that's been, or a lot of questions that have been asked by friends who know me and know that I'm a collector as well, asking if this is going to replace collecting. No, it's by no means. This is more just a supplement to be able to Let's Play games and not have to focus on a lot of the older stuff. I never owned a Super Nintendo growing up. I always borrowed friends' Super NESs and things as such to play Chrono Trigger and Mario RPG and Donkey Kong Country. I never owned one personally, so I have a great deal of attachment to some of the titles, but looking at the state of game collecting, I don't have that big of a wallet. So if I ever wanted to Let's Play a Super NES title, I'd either have to download a copy of the game on a virtual console or find a screen capture. And that's actually another thing that prompted this project, is before I saw the SNES and NES build projects from Wes, I was requested to do a Let's Play by one of my viewers, and I like taking requests if it's something that I have the aptitude to do. Like if someone asked me to Let's Play a Call of Duty title or something, I'd laugh and say no. But one of my viewers asked if I'd be able to Let's Play Shining Force CD, and I told them I would love to. I do not, however, have a Sega CD, and I don't have the game. And a Sega CD by itself is running for $50. If I wanted to be, if I wanted to be able to Let's Play it in a good capacity, I'd want to go for a Sega CDX, which is $100 minimum. And then you also have the game, which is anywhere between $30 and $80, depending on the quality and the condition that you're picking up. And while I will admit Shining Force CD is a rare game, I don't like spending that much money on games. My wife spent a fair amount on Suikoden 2, and I just, spending that much money on a single game, it seems painful to me, in a way. I guess it's just because I'm becoming, you know, more adult, and my finances have to go to different things, like houses and pets and whatnot. But, during that conversation, I started looking into screen capture, and I used Debut, and it has a screen capture feature, but running a Sega CD emulator and the screen capture program and Audacity slowed my system down. And in hindsight, what I did to build this project, I probably could have updated my system to have run everything more phenomenally, but I'd be playing it on a screen about yay big, and because I'd have to have the screen open for being able to record, and it would have just been a massive pain in the ass. So I went this route with building this project, and I'm going to edit some bits and pieces in of this, so this is going to be kind of a disjointed video, but I wanted to show off what I did, how I did it, and we're gonna go from there. So yeah. Alright, so this is the inside of the system, and as you can see, it is all sorts of a mess. I had to jerry-rig so much stuff to get this to work right. It was just not even funny. And I'm going to be going into, and there's Rowan, who's been trying to help me through this process. He is not a very big help. Neither is his brother, Axis. You get out of the way. So yeah, I'm going to be going into detail with a lot of this in a moment. So I just figured I'd give a nice inside look of what the system's going to look like. And here is the system itself sitting on my shelf. As you can see, it is not quite a stealth build, most notably the front ports here. I misjudged the size of the USB extenders for the controller ports, and so they had to be epoxied onto the front. But otherwise, it's very close to a stealth build. I'm actually very pleased with it for my first attempt. This is my first attempt at actually custom case mod. So, as you can see, GameShark case in the back, that's actually housing the hard drive. The power switch works. It is what turns it on, and we'll see that here in a few minutes when I show the gameplay. I'm going to go through here and show none of the other buttons work. In fact, the CD drive does not open because I had to remove everything on the inside to make as much room for cooling devices as possible, because it gets a little warm in there. So, and right above it is my stock Saturn, which has been modded to play backups. So that's Model 2, Model 1 case. And there, I got a lot of pieces from various people online. I don't remember everyone's name offhand, so I'm going to just include that as annotations and in the description. So if you see your name there, thank you very much for all of the assistance that you provided for this project. Let's move to the actual demonstration portion, shall we? Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to power on the system, and I apologize for it being kind of dark in here, but power on the system, and I'll talk about all of the inner workings and what all's in it in just a moment after I show off the system itself. As you can see, it boots up. I am running just Windows XP, I believe Pro, Service Pack 1 or 2. It doesn't matter. I just have it set up to insta-shell directly into Hyperspin, which is the front end that's being used. It's the same front end that is used on the SNES and NES build projects. It's one of the backbones of the project. As you can see, I have the default Hyperspin video. I didn't bother making a flash video for mine. It was just too much of a pain in the ass, so I gave up on that. And then I have various consoles. Unlike the SNES and NES build projects, which are just one thing, but granted focused very well on that one thing, I wanted to make the most of what I could use with the system, given what I'm paying for it. So I have MAME, if I can actually, I need to turn down the sensitivity somehow. I have MAME. Why are you not actually loading onto MAME? It's not going onto MAME. Why are you not going onto MAME? There we go. It's just being a dick, is what it's doing. I've got MAME, NES, obviously, as you've seen, SNES, Game Boy Advance, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, Sega CD, Sega Game Gear, TurboGrafx 16, and back to MAME. As you can see, a lot of Sega products, mainly because not as many, I mean, NES, you had the original NES, SNES, and Game Boy, and those are all covered with those three. I do have some Sega 32X games listed under Genesis, but the emulator that I'm using for all of these, all of the Sega systems use the same emulator. I'm using Kega Fusion. I don't have to have I could have a separate wheel menu for the 32X. Hyperspin does come with one default, but I saw no reason for that, because why? The only reason why I have the Sega CD is mostly because I think that is the coolest startup noise ever. Now we're going to start off with that, talk about a little bit of the downside to it. Popful Mail, specifically. And I love the opening. I love the startup. It's so pretty. And the music is just, ah. I never owned a Sega CD growing up. My uncle did. I loved it, but the problem with Kega Fusion is it kind of eats the FMVs for a couple of games. Like the opening to Popful Mail, we lose the kind of backstory that they talk about. It does show the anime cutscenes, so games like Lunar should be relatively unaffected. Popful Mail is one of the only ones that I've seen. Oh, no! It doesn't. It normally blocks this section out. But I don't have the voice. No, I do have some of the voice, so hey, Mazel Tov. That works. That never worked before, so I'm actually kind of surprised by that. I'm waiting to see. And I knew it would do the anime scene, so hey, Mazel Tov to that. I literally had a lot of problems. This is the first time that it did that, so I'm kind of impressed. And as you can see, you can exit back and go back to the main wheel. One thing that I do love about this project is it gave me access to games that I would not have normally. I can let's play Bahamut Lagoon, Brandish 2, Brandish. I'm not entirely sure how it's pronounced. What else do I have? Darius Twin, Darius Force, Der Langresser, Fida, the Emblem of Justice, Fire Emblems galore. I do have access to a lot of things here that I would not normally be able to play. Lotus War. So that was a big point of this. Like I said, the whole goal was to let's play some games that I did not have access to, and it started with Shining Force CD. So now that I have access to it, you can expect an LP of it in the near future. Once I'm finished with Shining Force 3, I will just be known as that guy on YouTube who Let's Played all of the Shining Force games. I'll just go ahead and do all of them. I'll say that now. I'll do all of the Shining Force games. I'm regretting saying this because now I've got a ton of stuff to do. But I have access to them. I have access to the Game Gear titles. I have access to... where is it? Skipping ahead menus. Shining Force, Resurrection of Dark Dragon. That's probably the Shining Force 1 that I will do. Shining Soul 1 and 2. So, like I said, I have access to pretty much every US release Shining game now through this. So, yeah. Like I said, how the system's working, I've got everything shelled into Hyperspin, which Hyperspin is a fantastic product, but if it was a product that I would have had to have paid money for, I would have lost my damn mind. The people who programmed it don't really know how to explain how to use it without using their own language, and if you don't understand their language, it makes things damn complicated. I basically had to learn all of this from scratch, which is why, as you can see, if you go into any of the menus, I don't have the video. Normally, along this side here, there should be a video of what game you're playing, just a little... you can see the box art, but there should also be a little video next to it. I don't have that because A, space, and B, getting everything to read in an XML file is a pain in the ass. And how they have their XML file set up and how they have to have everything labeled. You either have to do everything yourself, which means you have to label the ROMs yourself, you have to label the artwork and videos that go along with it yourself, and rename everything to match in the XML, or you have to use their XML and download the ROMs from a very specific site, which they will not tell you because it's all illegal, because of the whole ROM emulation gray area there. And I say gray area, it's not really a gray area, it's this whole thing is probably very illegal, but I don't care. I own it. I've owned or do own a good majority of these games, except for some, which is another reason why I did this project. So, yes, Gracie. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and exit, and when I do that, it will actually power down the system completely, and I'll be back in just a second, and we'll talk about everything that's in the console, and what makes the console tick. Alright, and now that you've seen the system in action, and you've seen what it looks like on the inside, and what you've seen the outside, let's talk about what's actually inside it, to give you an idea. I'm kind of sorry that I don't have a more in-depth. I really wanted to make this I wanted to do a tutorial, because a lot of the videos that I've seen are just say, hey, this is the final product, this is what I did, and no information on how you actually got there, which was really frustrating to me, but there is no way to really do something step by step, especially since I was doing a Saturn PC. I've only seen 2 other Saturn PCs. One of them was done several years ago, and the other one was done in Japan, and therefore all the information was in Japanese that I could not read. But it did give me an idea of where to go and how to do this. The other 2 that I saw are considerably better than what I built, mainly because they still have optical drives, they can still kind of function as a complete standalone PC, rather than just this is an arcade machine that has to be hooked up to a TV or a monitor. So let's talk about what the guts of this are. The motherboard, I have used a Zotac nForce 610i mini ITX board. Here's the case. It is the 6.75 by 6.75 square motherboard. I can guarantee you will probably not find this board anywhere. I had a hard time finding it. But I wanted one with built-in NVIDIA support because I like NVIDIA, and I needed something with a little bit graphic support because of the original plan was to also run like N64, maybe even a couple of Saturn games if I could get SSF to work as a backup for my Saturn, but that didn't pan out. The N64 didn't work because N64 emulation sucks. Just hands down, it's terrible. You have to have specific plugins for specific games to work. I fiddled for 3 hours one night trying to get Ogre Battle 64 to work, and when I realized I couldn't get that to work, that was one of the big games that I wanted on the N64. I have an N64, so I'm not too fussed about that. I can get the games that I want to LP on that front since I already do have that. But for like the NES and SNES that I don't have, I was more focused on getting those. But I wanted a board with a built-in GPU powered by NVIDIA. I like NVIDIA. I'm Intel, NVIDIA. That's the kind of my computer background. There are better boards than this, and for what I did, if you can find, I doubt it's possible to find, but if it is, if you want one that goes to TV out, either have one that has a GPU that does support VG to composite or component, or even HDMI. The whole reason why I went with the way I did is because I wanted to record, and I use a Dazzle, which is composite. So I needed the red, yellow, white option, and VGA to composite sucks. Which is why the next bit I have attached is this. Sewell PC to TV converter. It basically converts a VGA signal to RCA. And you can buy just a VGA to RCA cord, but they don't always work. It depends on the video settings of your system. Mine, I didn't even bother testing because I didn't want to spend $7 on a cord to have it do nothing and be stuck with it. So I just went ahead and went with this, which works well for what I'm doing. I'm not unhappy with it. It is a nice little machine. This is a cute little device. They do have one for component, which has the blue, green, red, white, etc. If you wanted to do a little bit higher definition. But again, since I use a Dazzle that requires either S-Video or composite, I had to go with this. Last but not least, piece-wise, Intel Core 2 Duo. I will post the specs for this because obviously it's not on the box here. Or is it? Oh yes, it's a Core 2 Duo E4600 LGA 775 socket. 2.4 gigahertz, 2 megabyte L2 cache, 800 megahertz FSB. So, yeah. And then I went with a Pico mini ITX power supply, which you probably saw in the video. The board itself had a 20-pin connector. The Pico ITX was a 24-pin, so I actually had to buy an adapter to that because there was a capacitor in the way. So, yeah, that didn't work out. And then for controllers, I have two Logitech F310 gamepads, USB. They work well for what I went with. I could have, if I wanted to go whole hog, there are kits to make your own Sega Saturn USB controllers. I thought about doing that, but I suck at soldering. And they do sell Saturn pre-made ones, but the reviews for them sucked. The D-pads would break instantly. So I didn't want to go with that. So I went with the Logitech. I would have loved to have had Saturn controllers, but there was just no way. So yeah, that's the project in a nutshell. I'm really happy with it. The only thing that bums me out a little bit about it were the controller ports on the front. I was really hoping to make those a little more flush, make the system a lot more stealth looking, to where it just looked like I had two Saturns sitting on my shelf. But, you know, as my first project, the first time I've ever done something like this, I've built a lot of computers. They've all been stock kit computers where all of the pieces are just supposed to go together. They're all sent together, and you just some assembly required, or building computers from parts from scratch. I've done that, but it's all been standard, normal size PCs that are supposed to go in a very specific spot, in a very specific way, and the pieces to do that are provided. Doing something like this, making it in a custom case, I've never done that before. I am very, very pleased with how it turned out, and the fact that I now have over 400 more games that I have the ability to Let's Play that I did not have previously. And the fact that one of the conversations that I've recently been having with a couple of my YouTube and game collecting buddies is that, especially with the rumors of diskless systems and cutting out used games altogether, things like that, the fact that the game industry is going in considerably weirder directions, I wanted to have something that I know would work, that I know I could get to work, and that I know could do what I wanted it to do. to play the games of yesteryear that are becoming a little bit harder to find, a little bit more expensive to find, so that I can play them for my own enjoyment and I can play them for YouTube's enjoyment. But as I've said, this is not in any way me saying I'm giving up collecting. I've got a wall back there. I've got a huge wish list of games that I still want to get, mostly disc-based. I'm going to focus on finishing off like my Wii, my PS2, 360, PS1, GameCube, and PSP collections. Those are what I'm going to be focusing on now. This way I don't have to worry about, do I get the cart-only version of a Genesis game, or do I want to spend the extra money for a cart with manual? If I come across some really good deals, I'm still going to jump on those for the older 16 and older systems, 16-bit and older systems. But it's not something that I'm going to have to stress over in terms of, well, I want to play it now. Can I play it now? Can I let's play it now? Do I have to find a way to make it work? So, yeah, I'm happy. I'll post a bunch of information on the build specifics, or as specifics as I can, in the description. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, but I can guarantee you I'm not the best person to ask. I got this together with a lot of help from a lot of friends, family. My wife spent a lot of time helping as well. In fact, if it weren't for her, I probably would have set fire to it about halfway through the project and been out all of the money that I spent on this. So I have to thank her for keeping me sane during this build project, and I'm never doing it again. Not unless I'm paid exceptionally well and the pieces are provided for me. And even then, I can't guarantee that it would be a perfect project. But like if I had a close friend that wanted one and they fronted the money, I might do it for them, or at least help them considerably through the process. But yeah, that was my super secret project that I've been working on that now leads into a bunch of other projects. So for those of you who were requesting, hey, can you do Shining Force CD, or can you do another fan translation, or can you do this, that, or the other that I did not have access to and that I've said that I don't have access to based off that, there's a good chance I have access to it now. Like I said, I've got over 500 games put in that system, so there's a lot that I now have the ability to do. So look forward to some really off-the-wall stuff from me in the near future. Yeah, I'll see you guys in future installments. Till then, later everyone.